Good morning. After the Thor and Plague Dancer build, today I will be showcasing probably my favorite of all the Titan builds this league, the Stampede Titan, who not only has extremely good and satisfying clear on maps, but also boasts a single target damage that is enough to quickly kill any T4 Pinnacle boss in seconds as well. This build also performs pretty well in Simulacrum. That is, if you don't get randomly one-shotted by a mob hitting you with a frog splash from the top rope, like Prime Eddie Guerrero. This build in its current form, as it is presented here and in the written guide on Mobalytics, comes from Korean build creator and streamer Xesht, who again deserves a huge shout out here, and his channel will be linked in the description of this video. Together with my stream, we will keep trying to innovate on this build together, so keep an eye out for any updated or added version to this build coming over the next few days and weeks. As soon as something changes, the best way to stay up to date will be my stream. Also, every new variation of the build will be added onto the Mobalytics guide as well. Also, check out Xesht's channel here on YouTube, as he keeps innovating and improving on this build and other builds too. So with that out of the way, let's get into this Stampede Titan. So as we can see here, going over the character sheet, we can already see this is in best Titan fashion. This is very, very tanky. So I am with a life of over 4,500 here, 526 strength and 126 dexterity. This is basically a strength stacker. Again, we need a lot of strength on this build. This is due to the use of Giant's Blood here. So we can use two-handed maces in both our main hand and our offhand. So this requires us to have a lot of strength. In this case, we need 522 to wear this two-handed mace. So both of these have a requirement of 522. You can circumvent this a little bit when you get two-handed maces that have a reduced attribute requirements, but in this case, it is 522. We also need a lot of dexterity here, in this case 126, because we are also using Wind Dancer again. So Wind Dancer in this case is a level 11 gem, and this needs 95 dexterity here. I could go with level 12 or level 13 here due to the requirement here. I don't know if I will stay at this dexterity amount, so I am going with a Wind Dancer of level 11 here. Also, we are capped on all of our elemental reses, and our chaos resistance is right now at 56. I am using the amethyst charm here right now for the chaos res and the recoup when chaos damage, but the end goal is going to be to get chaos res at 75 as well. So very, very tanky. We're also going with a lot of armor here. This is, I mean, should I say it's a lot of armor? It's probably not. Armor is kind of bad anyway, so you can go with hybrid bases again. So in this case here, I have armor and evasion gloves, for example. Moria Invictus has armor and evasion as well. So then you can also go with the iron reflexes here to convert your evasion rating to armor. Armor is a bonus in the defensive section. The most important thing is going to be get as much life as you can, and of course cap our resistances and get chaos resistance as high as possible as well. Next, let's go over the skill gems that I'm using here. Going over the skill gems here, the first thing we're obviously going to talk about is going to be Stampede. Stampede is going to be our main damage ability for mapping. It's basically the only button we will press when mapping. I'm using Stampede with Execute, Aftershock, Momentum, Reach, and Magnified Effect. Stampede is awesome. The most important thing next to the added melee damage levels here, of course, the most important thing, of course, is going to be the level that you have on Stampede. The more levels, the more base damage on Stampede we will have. But the most important stat line other than the levels is going to be attack speed. So on weapon set 1, on our maces here, we are focusing a lot on attack speed. So you can see on both of these two-handed maces, I have attack speed, and I also have the greater rune of alacrity and all of these sockets here. So attack speed is the most important stat. That is because we want to get the attack time of Stampede as low as possible. Basically, the attack time here that you can see in this case is 0.5. Basically means that when the attack time is lower, it takes a lower amount of time for the Stampede to actually start running towards the mobs. So if this is higher, it will feel more clunky. It will take longer for the Stampede to actually start. So having more attack speed will mean that especially the mapping experience will feel much less clunky, and Stampede becomes a very, very nice and satisfying skill to clear the whole screen, to create satisfying explosions with a lot of area of effect. So attack speed, the most important thing in Stampede. This is further boosted not only by the maces here, but also, for example, on Megalomaniacs, you can get some more attack speed. You can get stuff like Rapid Strike, for example, on this one, or you can get stuff like Blood Rush here. The best one, in my opinion, is going to be Thrill of Battle. So the one that I'm using here, the Megalomaniac, is going to be with Thrill of Battle and Acceleration. So here we get a 10% skill speed, movement speed, and attack speed while surrounded, which means surrounded is meaning that if there are 5 mobs within 3 meters of you, that counts as surrounded, which is basically all the time when mapping or doing Simulacrum or whatever. So it automatically increases our attack speed while surrounded. What is also important for Stampede is going to be movement speed. The more movement speed you have, the faster the run up in Stampede will be. So again, most important stats for Stampede are going to be attack speed and movement speed. That is it for mapping, basically. For mapping, we're also using Wind Dancer with Envenom, Corrosion, Armor Explosion, Cannibalism, and Life Thief here. And also, we are using Berserk with another 30 Spirit as well. We're also using Herald of Ash, in this case with Herbalism and Vitality. And this is basically all we need for mapping. For bossing, it is going to be a weapon set 2. I don't have any maces in weapon set 2 here, so on weapon set 2, you don't need attack speed on the maces. What you want on the weapon set 2 is just two-handed maces with as much physical damage as you can. So for weapon set 2, you will then have Rolling Slam only on weapon set 2, you will only have Armor Breaker only on weapon set 2, and you will only have Infernal Cry also on weapon set 2. This will make it so that these green lines on the passive tree are going to be activated for weapon set 2. So we get a bunch of damage here on these ones. So if you're using the maces on weapon set 2 and are using Rolling Slam, Armor Breaker, and Infernal Cry on that weapon set, it will have a bunch of more damage and it will just annihilate any pinnacle boss if you do so. So Rolling Slam I'm using with Hit and Run, Reverberate, Concentrated Effect, and Ambrosia, and Close Combat. For pinnacle bosses, the only gem switch that I usually do is going with Execute on Rolling Slam. Because we are using the Deepest Tower, of course, we want Execute on Rolling Slam if we are going for pinnacle bosses. So this is the only quick gem switch that I do when I actually go towards a boss. So Rolling Slam on bossing with Execute instead of Hit and Run, Reverberate, Concentrated Effect, Ambrosia, and Close Combat. So Armor Breaker with Discombobulate, Break Posture, Demolisher, Devastate, and Splinter. Infernal Cry with Premeditation, Enraged War Cry, Raging Cry, Ingenuity, and Second Wind. That is all. What I also do for bosses is I use Solar Orb to get Rage, Font of Rage, Persistence, Final Exposure, Strip Away, and Expanse. Of course, Fire Exposure, not Final Exposure. So Solar Orb I mainly use to get some lower fire resistance on the boss, but mainly I use it to get some rage up before the boss spawns. You can also add flammability if you want to. It doesn't do much. The most damage you do on this character is going to be physical damage, but it feels good to add some flammability in there with Curse Grant, Heightened Curse, and Ritualistic Curse. So to explain the rotation when a boss actually spawns, it is going to be very, very easy. You just drop the Solar Orb on the ground. Then you go with, let me actually disable it for weapon set 2 here so I can use it here and show it. So the rotation is going to be, you just drop the Solar Orb on the floor, so you get a rage here, so I'm already at 30 rage here. Then you can go with the flammability on the ground for the boss, and then you want to armor break the boss with a few hits with Armor Breaker here, and then you just go with the Infernal Cry to empower your Rolling Slam, and then you just Rolling Slam the boss. So again, Solar Orb on the floor to get rage, flammability on the floor, we break the boss's armor with Armor Break, and then we do Infernal Cry, and then we Rolling Slam. That is the combination for bossing. So these are all the skill gems. Of course, if there's any updates or if anything changes in the skill gems section, you will know on my stream or in the Mobalytics guide. These will all be in the Mobalytics guide as well, of course. So next thing is going to be the gear. Going over the gear, let's start at the two-handed maces. I already mentioned that in the section on the two-handed maces here. On weapon set 1, that is for mapping, you do prioritize attack speed. Of course, you want as high physical damage as you can on these. You also want attack speed, like I mentioned multiple times. And of course, you want as much melee skill level as possible as well. On the weapon set 2, you want basically the same two-handed maces. You don't prioritize attack speed on those. You just want very, very high physical damage on the ones in weapon set 2. So weapon set 1, attack speed. Weapon set 2 for bossing, high physical damage. The core unique here is going to be the deepest tower. The deepest tower makes it so that enemies in our presence count as low life. So we are utilizing a lot of the low life stuff. We are also going with a lot of area of effect here for the presence area. So we are using presence area of effect in the boots here in the Ox Talisman, and we are also using it on the passive tree right here, because the deepest tower reduces our presence area of effect. But we want to get it up as much as possible, so we don't have to be that close to any mobs that want to be counted as low life. So the deepest tower, core unique of this build. Speaking of uniques here, I am using a Morio Invictus with attributes, maximum life, and all res. This is definitely not needed. You could also use just a normal chest with high armor, with some strength, with resistances and sockets, whatever. A normal armor with high armor is just fine as well. I choose a Morio Invictus here to hit my breakpoints easier with the attributes, also get some maximum life and also get some resistances. I'm using Soul Cores of Chikwani for maximum life in this one. Like I said, Morio Invictus, I am using it here. Not really needed though. You could also get more spirit to use like Time of Need or anything, but yeah, Morio Invictus in here. Next thing is going to be the amulet. I have allocated Deep Trance here. Deep Trance gives us 8% attack speed. Very, very good for us. Like I mentioned before, attack speed, really, really important. On the amulet, you want maximum life, you want spirit on the amulet, you want melee skills, you want attributes, and if you can get it, resistances as well. Next thing is going to be the rings. On both of these rings, you want flat damages. In this case, it's physical in this one and physical and lightning on this one. You then also want maximum life, and then you want, again, strength and dexterity. You want to get strength, especially on every single gear piece that you can get it on. This is basically a stacker here. We need to hit the requirement of over 500 strength on the two-handed maces here. So getting strength on the rings, getting strength anywhere where we can is going to help you a lot. On the third suffix slot, you can get resistances or leech in this case, also very good. Gloves, you want another fizz flat, you want maximum life again, you want plus to all melee skills and a resistance. You can also get attack speed on these as well. So, belt, again, armor, maximum life, tri-res, the usual. Next thing, boots, of course, tri-res, maximum life, and movement speed. Like I said, the offensive priority here is always going to be level of melee skills, attack speed, and then flat fizz. On the more defensive side, you want to get as much maximum life as you can. You want high armor bases or high armor evasion hybrid bases, so you can convert the evasion into armor. So that is going to be the priorities on the gear side. There are some possibilities for other gear here. I tested today a variation of using 2 Hammer of Face for mapping and paired with a Headhunter. This is a crazy version of the build that is super, super fun for mapping. You basically always have shrine buffs up on this one. In this case, 2 of them at all times. And if you add a Headhunter into the mix, it just gets super, super crazy. You're just zooming around. You have all the modifiers in the world. It's super, super crazy for mapping. I will probably add a variation on that on the Mobalytics as well, where I thoroughly explain. Like I already mentioned, Megalomaniacs with more attack speed that you normally cannot get on the passive tree is going to be very, very good as well. What you can also do is Death Articulated. For example, when you are going to a boss on as a pinnacle boss, for example, you can just use Death Articulate. You will get max rage. Rage is extremely strong. Let me just showcase here what rage does to you. So if you look at, for example, my mace strike damage here, look what happens. if the rage goes up here with Berserk. So when we get towards, this is probably around a 30 to 40% damage increase here just with the rage. So when you are actually bossing or when you're killing a pinnacle boss, what you can always use is Death Articulated. Very, very good in order to shoot your damage up by a mile. What I'm also going to be experimenting with in the next few days is going to be a Chernobog version. So Chernobog would make a lot of sense here. I haven't tested it so far. I just wanted to add it here as a possibility as well. If you're a fan of block chance and glancing blows and getting your damage up through Chernobog and having the block chance in there, this could also be a very, very good way of getting that. So that is going to be it for the gear. So next thing, let's go over the passive tree. Passive tree going to be very straightforward here. We're using Hulking Form, Crushing Impact, and Mysterious Lineage in the Titan tree. Other than that, the lines on the passive tree here, weapon set 1 is going to be focused on attack speed, of course. That is when we are mapping and are using the weapon set 1. And weapon set 2, the green lines here, we will be focusing on more damage for when we are actually using weapon set 2 to kill pinnacle bosses. Other than that, I am using a From Nothing with Unwavering Stance, so we can get Hail Hard, but more importantly, Finality here. We are picking up the Finality, the Stars Aligned, and Finishing Blows to get increased damage on enemies that are low on life. That is always, since we are using the Deepest Tower here. Other than that, I also use a Megalomaniac here with Thrill of Battle and Acceleration. Acceleration and Thrill of Battle are some of the two ones that you absolutely want. If you can't get Acceleration or Thrill of Battle on a Megalomaniac, for example, I would suggest you anoint it on your amulet. The anoint choices for the amulet will also be in the mobalytics. So also in the mobalytics will, of course, be the full passive tree here. Other than that, jewels are going to be straightforward as well. You can get melee damage, attack damage, amount of life leeched, rage on hit. These are the jewels that are pretty suggested here. So just a run-of-the-mill rubies here with attack damage, damage with maces, amount of life leech, rage on melee hit. You can also get area damage, area of attack, area of attack AoE, stuff like that. Amount of life leeched, melee damage, attack damage, whatever you can get. Rage on hit is also very good. So passive tree will be in the mobalytics. That is going to be it for the passive tree. And with that, that is also going to be it for this character here. So if you have any questions about the build, or if you have any suggestions about the build, or you want to theory craft with us about the build, come join us on my Twitch stream, which will also be linked in the description here. So I will stop it there. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Love you. Bye.